Masters! Woo!
Please be our best, Sonic. Love it.
The CORSAIR DreamHack Masters is back into town, and I see just a sea of people out there ready to get this party started. The semifinals day live coming at you from that of Malmö, Sweden. And today, well, we're going to be seeing a lot more Danes in the house, I do fear. And rather than fear, the only fear that I have is that of Astralis as they come in here into the semifinal, poised to beat up on that of Fnatic, right here to get the day started. My name being Trace Saranthus, and on the desk, I am not alone. I do have to introduce my co-hosts, colleagues, and whatever you want to call yourselves would be Jacob Pimp Vinica and Christine Potter G. We're going to make it through this. We're all going to be there at the end of the day. Nonetheless, welcome, guys, and good morning.
Good morning, Trace. Are you sure you're awake?
Yeah, I'm awake. I've been kind of fighting this cold thing, but sometimes those little twists of the tongue happen.
You should have kept playing the hockey with me and Jacob. It would have woken you up.
I feel like bringing that into the green room was one of the more achievement unlocked. Yeah, it was rough. But I borrowed that thing, and now we have it. Either way, we're not alone, and I did introduce these two, so I might as well introduce Frankie as well, who should be down there on stage somewhere with all of you in the audience.
Hello, I am indeed, although this morning I was having my makeup done. I could hear you guys playing hockey. I have never heard you guys so competitive. It makes a lot of sense that Potter was a professional Counter-Strike player. But yeah, I'm here on the stage in Malmö Arena. I've seen quite a few Astralis shirts. There are some lit up. See, I've got a cold too. I'm suffering today, I have to admit. Some lit up horns. In fact, they're cheering for us now. Can you hear me over there? There we go. They're loud. There's a few of them. They're very loud. Are the rest of you loud, though, Astralis fans? I think there are some in the house. Brilliant. I think maybe a few people came over from Denmark today. It's just across the bridge. But I'm going to chuck it back to you guys because I need to go and grab myself Sonic because we're going to have an interview on this stage very soon.
Yes, that's going to be the plan. Frankie, thank you so much as we do see people start to file into the arena today. Being a Saturday, should be a little bit easier for people to get over here, especially if they're coming all the way from Denmark.
I mean, I went to Subway this morning and it was filled with Astralis jerseys, so I'm sure they're just getting the food, getting ready for this matchup, right? Half an hour from now, Christine, we have Astralis going up against Fnatic, and it is going to be the home soil against, I guess, the enemies from Denmark.
There's one thing that I have to mention, that we really wouldn't have any of this. None of this would be possible without the partners of the CORSAIR DreamHack Masters, to include, guess what? CORSAIR, Monster Energy, esport-management.com, and cs.money. Shout out to all of you for being around during this timeline. We're going to be jumping into the matchup before you know it, but for the time being, we need to start talking about what happened yesterday. Maybe recap and maybe catch some people up to speed. Where I want to start is the fact that Get Right, this little guy right here, was wearing a Forest jersey.
Yeah, and we saw him coming out onto the stage with the little one. I believe his name was Tristan. Yeah, they were both carrying the trophy, and these are the beautiful things we like to see. I mean, the story of Klopsky, the story of Tristan, the story of Get Right. All these players, they've been within the scene for so long, and seeing new up-and-coming little guys coming into the scene, it's pretty exciting.
Little fellows. Like Jacob.
Little fellows like Jacob. It was exciting, right? A little bit of a shame the game really didn't deliver up to the hype that it was built up to. I think two Swedish teams going toe-to-toe. Fnatic with a long legacy of being one of the best teams in the world. Obviously the best Swedish team for quite some time. Going up against Fnatic, who yesterday showed that they were the better unit compared to NIP. It wasn't the best played game. It wasn't necessarily, too exciting, but it was a game with a lot of nerve in it, and that also has its charm sometimes.
Jacob, you talk about yesterday as if it was any different than the other days, and it was in a big way, but perhaps for reasons that you don't know about, being the playoffs, which is what I have in front of you, the playoff brackets. Take a look at this. NIP versus Fnatic yesterday. We've got 3 maps out of that. Vitality versus Mouse. Got 3 maps out of that. 6 maps to Counter-Strike in the Malmö Arena. And well, the first one felt a little lacking, I'm not going to lie. The second one delivered for sure, and now we are set the stage for our semifinals. Christine, give a crack at the semifinals.
These semifinals today are going to be explosive. I mean, the first one with Astralis and Fnatic coming in. I think Fnatic, as you mentioned yesterday, Jacob, it was a little bit underwhelming, but they did have a lot of trials and tribulations throughout this weekend. They had multiple OTs on Overpass versus Furia. I think these kinds of rounds and matches that are very scrappy for this newer lineup coming into this semifinals versus a very strong Astralis, it's going to bode well for them.
Yeah, that should be the plan. We're going to talk a little bit about not any of that. Any of the stuff you just seen, just disregard all of that. What we're going to talk about is the fact that NIP versus Fnatic gave us a few highlights, but overall, the Swedish scene, I don't even think between the two of these teams has found its footing.
No, it surely hasn't, but it's going in the right direction, I think, and that's without being disrespectful whatsoever to Get Right. I think it was a good thing for him and NIP finally to move on. It's been a long while, right?
Say it to his face.
Say it to his face, right there, Get Right. It's good that you're out. Now, NIP is a team that for a long, long time have been struggling a little bit. They needed a change. They needed to get rid of, Get Right. They needed to let him fly, let him go do his own thing. I'm sure he'll land on his feet and find another team to play for. Now, if you look at the lineup still, right? Yesterday it wasn't too good, but still going into a quarterfinal at a tournament like this with the first time playing with Twist, it's not necessarily a bad result. It was just the fact that when you look at the lineup, they still need an in-game leader, or at least a dedicated in-game leader, dare I say it. They still need that leader figure. Forest is not enough for them. So I still see some problems within NIP, but it was definitely a positive showing.
I have to agree about the leader part. I mean, we saw Twist, as you mentioned, he is a newer member coming in, and he was a little bit quiet. It took him a little bit longer to get started. And as that AWP, when you have such competent riflers that are in those forward positions, it takes a little bit more prep and a little bit more getting used to find the most optimal positions for you to benefit your team and to be impactful. Like that scout round on that nuke. Yeah. These are the kinds of sniping plays we need to see from Twist in this series if he wants to help Fnatic move forward.
Let's talk about moving forward, because yesterday we did have that second quarterfinal. And, well, I guess with all things considered, it didn't have as much of an impact on our tug of war, but it was still there nonetheless. And you can't dismiss the fact that Kerrigan shows up in a big way, but it's Vitality that takes it.
That was a great matchup, right? There was two very explosive teams, two teams that really fought hard for that victory. I think the quality of the game wasn't always, to the highest. I think both teams could have played better, but that's what makes for a great Counter-Strike. The tension was there, the individual players showed up. Saivu had a few maps where he basically owned the entire thing. Shock showed up to be that duo, that we always talked about, the two of them playing well together. That's always going to be exciting. Then RPK out of nowhere as well on Dust 2, finishing it up and making sure Mousesports did not win that matchup. There was so much stuff going on yesterday, and it was so nice to see both teams really had a fight for that.
Yeah, they certainly did, Christine. When you take a look at the big picture of what happened yesterday, this was a lot of back and forth, this, that, and the other. But if you even just take a look at the beginning of it all, I mean, this had a lot of weight to it, this matchup.
It did, and I mean, I'm glad Jacob mentioned RPK, because yesterday in the last match in that series, Zaiwu went a little bit more quiet than we're used to quite seeing. And I think it's great that other members on that Vitality squad stepped up and they helped push Vitality to get the actual W and finish out that series. RPK was top fragging in that Dust 2 match, and he was put in a lot of positions to clutch, and it wasn't always the most beautiful play that we've seen or that we're used to seeing out of the top players, but it certainly helped get the W for Vitality.
Talking about W's early on, it was not that of Vitality that caught the W early on. In fact, we're going to take a quick review of what happened before the match took off yesterday, because this was some pretty good banter.
But are you going to respect this man in the server today?
I mean, I respect him as an in-game leader, but he just can't frag anymore, so...
I'm going to have to come back to you on that one, Kerrigan. What do you say to Alex?
Say who is carrying your back like always?
I think we're going to have to take it to the desk. All I can say is these two just blew the Swedish team's trash talk out of the water.
As good of an attempt as it was, I really think that they could have done better, but that was actually phenomenal. Yeah, that was some fire out of Kerrigan. Alex, sorry you did take an L on that one.
I would say so too. I think Kerrigan won big time, right? Yeah, I mean, judging by the two players as well, I would even dare saying that for the majority of their careers, right, Alex has not really been the top fracking in-game leader of the two of them. I think Kerrigan still, and he showed that yesterday as well, a very viable in-game leader in terms of both fracking and calling his team around. So it was a very interesting matchup. It was a very interesting trash talk, dare I say it, but I think Kerrigan is spot on. Without Saivu, Vitality sometimes seems to struggle a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, just looking backwards just a little bit, because we talked about it earlier on. We talked about what was Fnatic versus NIP. Now we need to talk a little bit about some of Astralis versus Fnatic, because that's what we have coming up first. That will be the first semifinal of the day. Surely there's enough Danish folks in the crowd, if not on their way over the Øresund Bridge right now. They will be in attendance here, probably with their light-up signs, if I had to imagine. If those guys aren't here, I'm going to be pretty sad. Nonetheless, we do have one big Dane himself, the big Papa Bear Dane, known as Zonic, and he's going to be down there with Frankie.
Yes, I've got to make this quick because Zonic was in the middle of an important team talk backstage when we grabbed him and dragged him on here to talk to me. Zonic, I know you prep hard. What did you think of Fnatic's performance against NIP yesterday?
Oh, it looked like a real derby. Everyone was not. It was just. It looked a bit clumsy and a bit hectic, and yeah, it's going to be a different match this time around, I think. But yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's always nice to play Swedes in Sweden.
One of Fnatic's strengths, apart from their firepower, is they seemingly can adapt to anything. You guys, super structured, you always know what you're doing, but are you scared that Fnatic might be able to adapt to what you're doing and surprise you?
I mean, this lineup has won tournaments before. I think they won Katowice last year, and you should never underestimate them. It's a team that has a lot of history, and we need to come prepared. We are, and we need to play our best. We still have a lot of respect for Fnatic.
You mentioned Katowice 2018, and Golden and Flusher are back in the squad that lifted that trophy. What did you think of their return to the squad?
I think it's nice. I think it's good to see Flusher back in the scene. He's a well-respected player and a great player as well. And yeah, I don't know what happened to Crims over the past year. He's been phenomenal as well. So, and JW is unpredictable. So we'll have to keep playing that structure so we are prepared for everything.
And finally, you've had a day off. You've had some time to relax, to recuperate. Are the boys feeling at full strength today?
Yeah, I mean, New York didn't have that much impact on us. It was we tried to cope with it really well, and we talked about it. So it was really nice, and yeah, it's been great here in Malmö so far.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me, Zonic. I'll let you get back to your team, and we're going to head back to the desk.
Thank you so much, Frankie. Thank you so much, Zonic. The reality is this, though. There was one man that got educated yesterday, and it was Jacob Pimp-Vinicki. He's not the only Dane in attendance, and nor is Zonic. So we're going to go ahead and jump into the School of Masters with Jacob Pimp-Vinicki.
Hey guys, so I've been given the task to try to be a cameraman. So there's a guy over here who's going to show me how to control the camera, and I'll do my absolute best to make it work. As long as you have strong arms, you can do it. Yeah, like this. Leave that arm. I can't hear you.
Camera 5, get a close up on simple.
Camera 5 ready.
Camera 5, be still. Easy.
Easy. Ready?
I got it.
This is heavy as hell, Jesus Christ. I'm better than him. Here you go, you got it? Yeah. Perfect, holy Christ, it's heavy. Yeah,
It's good, yeah?
Yeah, have fun.
Thank you.
Once again, I deliver.
In the name of Gaben, you have said multiple times that the camera is heavy. Did you learn anything, though?
I learned that it's not a job for me.
Okay, and that's pretty fair enough. Christine, let's actually focus on some stuff that's pretty heavy hitting here, and that's going to be the Intel Grand Slam. Now, both of the teams rather, that have put a notch towards this season's Intel Grand Slam are out of the running, and they went out fairly quick. Liquid and Evil Geniuses say see you later, sooner rather than later. And now in Malmö, it'll be a real shot here for Astralis to put one on the board, as well as Fnatic, Na'Vi, and Vitality. I don't want to write them off too soon, but a notch towards the Intel Grand Slam is a pretty big deal. $1 million big deal at that.
$1 million big deal indeed, and this is such a perfect opportunity for the Na'Vi and for the Astralis to cement themselves and get their point on the board, because EG and Liquid already have one each. They're already out of this tournament, so this is the perfect opening that I think the tournament allowed for them to have.
Well, the tournament will roll on, but first of all, coming up after the break will be the pre-match for our first best-of-3 semifinal. Astralis versus Fnatic. On home soil will be the Swedes, but the Danes don't have to come too far to invade this heartland. We're going to be coming back right after the break with your first semifinal. Be here with us.